Now, let's start with the Vanguard newspaper. My accounts have been frozen. Sunday Igboho cries out. My accounts have been frozen. Sunday Igboho cries out.
Yeah, okay. Now, whatever you might, whatever side of the divide you are about who's or what Sunday Igboho is, he has become a kind of national figure. Or at least let's just say so that we don't have an argument. He has become a regional figure. When you get to that point in your life, you have to be well managed and you need people to advise you, no matter how good your intentions are, on one, your actions, two, the use of language, your temperament. These things are very, very important. Now, this is just to lay a foundation. Listen carefully, I'll get to my point. Mr. Sunday Igboho yesterday said that the federal government has frozen his bank account following his attack on the killer headsmen. It is said in this story that he confirmed that all his bank accounts have been frozen by the federal government because some people were collecting donations and saying he had no hand in it. I'm wondering, if you had no hand in it, how come your accounts are involved? But that's not for me to determine, and I don't, that's for the, security to determine all that. But this is the part that worries me about Mr. Sunday Igboho. He says that he wants that his accounts must be unfrozen to avoid nationwide protests by youth across the southwest region. You don't talk like that. You don't issue threats like that. What happens is that you get people to say these things on your behalf. And you first of all must always show a relative hand of peace. And then you must always have legality at the back of your mind. What I expected, what Mr. Sunday Igboho could easily have done would be to take the federal government to court, and his lawyer or his spokesperson can make statements like this, not statements like this credited to him. It is not done. Strategically, it's not even good. And this is very good advice to him. And it goes on to say, I know Yoruba people are behind me. They have first, because I'm fighting the just cause, I will not relent. I must achieve. If they refuse to release my account, there will be a serious protest across the southwest. Mr. Sunday Igboho, you don't use this kind of language. Somebody else could even say that on your behalf. Why you sit back and contemplate your action? This is simply an operational advice and procedure that I'm giving to him. Whether I believe in his cause or not is nobody's business, because I'm only one individual. And so that is neither here nor here. But I am very, very keen on making sure that this gentleman doesn't step on a landmine urged by people who don't know. What you're doing, you're trying to salvage your people. Fine, it's noble in a way. They have no problem. But operationally and strategically, you have to be extremely careful. And that is that. Now, there's a second story here that is attached to it. You want to read that?
Yes, I will. Farmers headers clash. Anyone who bears arms unlawfully must be arrested. That's the presidency speaking.
No, it wasn't the presidency speaking. It was Femi Adesina in an interview on Channels. You see, when I heard this morning that the president, I said no. Adesina was invited to an interview, and somewhere during that, he said anyone who bears arms unlawfully must be arrested. And I found this embarrassing. I thought that was a given. You don't even need a presidential directive.
That's what I said this morning myself.
Oh, you said so?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't need to say that.
It's a given. Now, if this was meant to be used as a channel to react to what is going on, I'm sorry, the approach has been completely wrong. This is what I expect, or what should have happened, or what I believe could have happened. You have a high security meeting or cabinet meeting or whatever it is. After that, you come out with a 6, 8, 10 point statement, making statements specifically on the current problems that we have. Not some casual thing dropped in an interview. The presidential spokesman says anybody who bears arms unlawfully must. That's a given. You don't need to be instructed. The Scottish people don't need to be instructed. We still need a federal government categorical response, preferably from the topmost level to the current crisis that we have, and it is just not coming yet. Some people have seen some things have been passed to me in the social media. He doesn't need to speak. He doesn't. A lot of people make comments that I'm sorry, they don't even understand what governance is all about. The most important thing about governance is leadership and perception. You must show leadership. People must have that perception and have that faith in you as a leader. Anything short of that would lead to the kind of shortfalls and whatever we have in our society today. And I'm sorry, a casual approach is not going to solve this problem. It has to be taken head on. It has to be taken head on. On the propriety of freezing Sunday Igboho's accounts, I think is going to heighten tension, if you ask me. Because in any case, he can always bypass his own accounts and still get the money that he wants. So, I mean, this kind of tactics really, at the end of the day, all it will do is to heighten tension. And by doing so, you always play into the hands of activists and so on and so forth. Every activist wants to be arrested. He wants his accounts frozen. He wants people around him arrested so that he can heighten the tension around him. And this stands to benefit. So these two stories in one, these are my reactions to the two stories that you have here in one. One is that Sunday Igboho's accounts have been frozen and asked the government to please unfreeze it. There's no point. If he's going to get access to money, he can get loads. In fact, what this is going to do is going to make people more determined to make sure that he lays his hands on the cash that he needs. And of course, rather than freeze his account, why don't you monitor it?
Yomi Williams on Facebook says, Sunday Igboho yesterday denied calling for a civil war and warned that any piece of news from a particular newspaper should be disregarded. The media should be circumspect when airing news credited to him.
So, well, luckily, this program is predicated on what we read in the newspapers, and you will find that Sheriff is always insistent on quoting the paper. Is always insistent on quoting the paper. This is from the Vanguard, and the Vanguard claims that they spoke to him. So we are reacting to this story. If it turns out to be false, then there's a problem somewhere. But we are reacting to this story.
Ni also said that Sunday Igboho's plight or so-called threat and agitations has not been dealt with logically. Rather, the government keeps exchanging words with him. Let the government address these gross insecurities.
Yeah, they should. I mean, there are no two ways to it.
Let's take this headline from the Vanguard newspaper. Labour CSOs kick as FG plans fresh fuel price hike. Vanguard for you.
Yeah, I'm going to go a bit personal here. I started my full-time journalism career in 1982 as an assistant editor then of the Financial Punch. This is 1982. We are in 2021. How many years is that?
That's a lot of years.
That's a lot of years.
About 38 or so.
Yeah, or so, yes. Almost 40. Now, why I said so is that, believe you me, God bless the soul of Victor Ogundikwe, who was then my editor, and Kwame Ademulu, who was a deputy editor. As at 1982, we were dealing with the issue of oil prices and fuel hike. And I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Do you know why?
Why?
What we should have done over the last 30 or whatever 40 years, we have not done. Because it is embarrassing that 40 years down since when this argument came up, the likes of Patu Tommy, all of them, position papers and so on and so forth, we are still doing the wrong thing. How can we be importing fuel as an oil-producing nation? That is the bottom line. I'm not interested in any analysis about the landing cost and this and that. I'm not going to get... Look, you need to choose the problems of Nigeria you want to align yourself with as we are now. No, I'm telling you. You need to...
Must we align ourselves with problems?
No, you have to know. You know what I mean by like... Yeah, you have to. The one that concerns you directly, you deal with. You have to deal with COVID. You have to deal with insecurity. These are major ones. This one, there is only one solution to it, and we have refused to take it over the past 40 years. Our political elite have taken us on a long journey back and forth, and we still don't have any resolution in sight. Therefore, the analysis here that talks about the rising, as Bonnie Light hits $59 per barrel and so on and so forth,
Right.
which should have been a benefit to us as an oil producing. But since we lack the wherewithal to do the needful, we're still back, to importing fuel, and that affects the cost of the. And then you're not talking of a fuel hike, and labor as usual will huff and puff, and will not blow the house down. So
Well, they are kicking now.
no, they will
Kicking
kick.
is part of it.
They will kick and huff and puff. At the end of the day, we know where all. I've been through this so many times.
Yeah.
I've covered so many strikes, gone to so many seminars.
But why is this news though? Because the reason I asked the question is because
Yes.
we've been told before now that they've removed subsidy from petrol,
Yes.
at least to a large extent. So market forces are determining the oil prices right now.
Not market forces, corruption. Excuse me.
No. But they have said that is what is happening.
They have said, but to a large extent, what we have here is nobody can actually tell you, Sheriff, how these prices are computed. They put all kinds of things out there, but you know that the closely guarded whatever is everything that goes on in the. Don't let's deceive ourselves. And I'm not going to break my head. I have COVID to think of. I have insecurity to think of. I have the consequences of freezing Sunday Igboho's accounts to think of than to think.
Why are you thinking of that one? Why are you thinking of that
It's
one?
my job now. That's what you pay me to do. Are you not my paymaster?
To think of the consequences of Sunday Igboho's frozen account.
Yes, now look, the man is, whether you like it or not, at the very least, is a regional figure,
Oh well,
and
yeah.
that is going to. You will see what will happen during the day, and if he could come and say the Yorubas will protest and the youth will also protest,
yeah.
he must know something that some of us don't know.
Perhaps, yeah.
And if we are now going to allow our youth to be put at risk and shot and whatever, and Yorubas are going to allow them to, because somebody's account has been frozen, isn't that a problem?
That's disappointing.
Oh,
That's really disappointing.
I mean, we are in the worst crisis ever. And the solutions appear so simple. Why we can't take it, only God knows. We don't have the resolve. We don't have the determination.
Right.